Danny Segura for MMA Junkie. I'm here with Brendan Loughnane, PFL featherweight, who fights Sheymon Moraes on April 23rd as part of the PFL featherweight season and tournament. First of all, Brandon, I know this question kind of seems dumb, but I feel like nowadays in this year, it has a lot of weight. So how are you, man? And how's this last year been like for you?
Well, yeah, last year wasn't the best, obviously, for everyone in the world, not just myself. So, I'm not going to dwell on the past, but I did use it to my advantage, train my ass off, got myself double prepared for this tournament and this fight. So, we're finally here. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I know obviously the pandemic hit the UK pretty hard. What was the last year sort of like as far as like training and development? Because I mean, MMA is a contact sport, right? You require people and gyms to get into to progress, and that's sort of been blocked off by COVID-19 and the pandemic.
No, I'll tell you what, I was very lucky because I went straight to Thailand. Thailand was pretty relaxed with the whole pandemic, so I was lucky there. And then I went to Dubai. Dubai was very relaxed with the pandemic. I just basically positioned myself wherever I could train to the best of my ability. The UK was completely closed; like you had to sneak in gyms and stuff, and I wasn't willing to do that really. So I just took myself to the best places possible, and that's going to give me the best chance this year.
Yeah, for sure. So this whole training camp you've done in Thailand, and you've done them before in Thailand, right?
Yeah, I've done Thailand a few times, but I didn't actually do this one in Thailand. I did it in Dubai.
Okay, nice. How'd you end up there?
Funny story, really. I went on a bachelor party September last year, and I kind of had it in my head that I was going to stay there anyway. Went and two of my coaches, Frank Hickman and Stephen Jaguar, was over there. So I ended up linking up with them two guys, and then there was a whole array of talent in that room. I mean, you had guys like Gokhan Sake, you had Michael Venom Page, you had
Oh, okay.
Overeem was in there. Like the list was endless. There's just great bodies everywhere. So I ended up staying 6 months.
Okay, that must have been a pretty cool experience. Very unexpected, right? You go to a bachelor party, next thing you know, you're doing a full training camp.
There you go. I mean, I got there and then I realised that the UK went straight into lockdown again as I was over there. And my options were go back, try and sneak in a gym or make it work where I was. And I just made it work.
Nice. And I know, obviously, training's training, but you didn't compete at all throughout the year. And I know you're used to competing more or less about 2 or 3 times a year. How was that like, not being able to get in there and compete? Was it tough?
Yeah, very tough. This is what I live for. This is what I train for. And that was the hardest bit, not being able to compete and not being able to further my record, being later on in my career now. That I just wanted to be as active as possible. And that's the reason I signed up for this format. No other reason. Just I wanted to get the fights out as quick as possible. And now that we're back around and PFL have gone, right, there you go. There's 4 for you in the space of 6 months. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. And some fighters under PFL, if I'm not mistaken, got the option to fight outside of the organization throughout their cancellation of the 2020 season. Kayla Harrison fought in Invicta. I believe Kamaru Usman's brother, Muhammad Usman, fought in Titan FC, if I'm not mistaken. Were you given that option at all? Was that ever discussed?
We tried everything in our power to get a fight outside. We was in deep discussions with many organisations, but it was really difficult because you got to look at it from the perspective of the promoter as well. Like, why would they want a guy coming from PFL beating up one of their fighters, and then it goes back to PFL? Like, so it was just a bit of a weird situation. Like, so we tried everything, but unfortunately, we didn't get it done. It was unfortunate at the time, but now I'm over it.
Yeah. And this is the first time you're in the season. You competed in 2019, but it was more like, I guess, not exhibition matches, but just matches that weren't part of the season. How was the experience working with PFL? Obviously, a promotion that's been coming up and lately has been doing a lot of noise with a lot of the free agent signings that they got, and it seems it's quickly becoming one of the most stable promotions out
I love being around PFL. I mean, all the back staff. I'm in with all them guys now. They really look after the fighters. It was just a massive, unfortunate scenario that they had to cancel the season for so long. I wasn't happy about that. I'm not going to sit on here and lie and say I was happy about it because I wasn't. The main reason I signed up was for activity. The activity didn't happen, so I wasn't happy at the time. But you know what? There's a lot of people in a lot worse situation than me. People lost jobs, homes, etc., even relatives. So for me, it was like, okay, I'm gonna have to take a year and a half off, but I didn't even take that off. I just carried on like I was still gonna fight that year, even though I didn't. There was times that we were close to getting one signed, so I was pretty much in camp all of last year again. So, but going back to your point about PFL, I love the format. I love the fact that I was a bit upset about the 2 fights in one night being cancelled. I'm not going to lie. I was excited to compete twice in one night. That was something that I've never done. After being in the sport for so long, I was excited about a new challenge. But I guess looking at it the other way, at least now, you got a fair crack at each person. You get a training camp for each person. Like, no injury is going to hamper you in the second fight. So, there's pros and cons to both.
Yeah, and you were just telling me you're now in New Jersey. That's where the PFL season's gonna develop. How long do you plan on being there? Because it looks like from what I've been reading, it seems you're gonna be there for quite some time.
I feel like I live in New Jersey now. I don't know what's going on. I just look out the window every day. I'm like, do I live here now? It's a bit like Groundhog Day. I've been here since. By the time I leave this fight, 19 days in total. So yeah, it's getting boring now. I mean, let's not forget. Like, usually at this point, I'll still be in full training camp, like going to the gym twice a day training. I'd have all my training partners, sparring partners, everything, and my masseuse, my diet, all that's been changed. I have to be in this hotel now for 17 days prior to the fight. And like, it's a massive adjustment. I mean, they don't cook the food the same as I would at home. You can't get, there's things missing. So we've made it work. I've got my coach here. We've managed to take on a new training partner. I don't know if you've seen it online.
No, I have not.
We found a guy out here that's got no corner team. I don't know if you've seen it online. There's a guy, Ostinov.
Okay.
His corner team got refused entry to the US, so he's here alone. He's got no corner team. He doesn't speak the language, so he's literally sat in his room for 17 days with nobody at all. So
Jesus,
we took him under our wing, and he's part of our team now.
That's great. That's great. You're doing good work over there. How was it like convincing your coach to like come with you almost for a month? That must have been. Well, maybe it was easy. I don't know.
If you can hear him laughing in the background, I think that gives you your answer. I mean, listen, how do you expect people to leave the families, the children, the girlfriends, the wives, and just give up their life for 3 weeks almost? It's like, wow. I mean, what we have to do to compete now is insane. But what can I do? What are my options? Tell me my options. Go home, don't fight, or go and do this. So let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess we just have to adjust and roll with the punches, right? With all these COVID restrictions and everything that's in place now. But let's talk about the fight, because you got a pretty exciting fight coming up. I would dare to say perhaps one of the most exciting fights on that card, on the first PFL card. Coming up here on April 23rd. You're fighting Sheymon Moraes, a former UFC fighter who had great wins in the UFC and put on some really exciting performances. When this fight was first booked, did you know about Sheymon? Because he's kind of like a weird figure in the sense that I feel like the hardcores really know who he is, and he has a bit of a following, but maybe some others don't. But he's legit. He's a legit dude.
So basically, I turned my phone on one day and just seen that I was fighting Sheymon. I was like, okay, like there was no kind of. This is what I like about PFL. Nobody ducks nobody. Like, right. You get a phone call saying you're fighting this guy. It doesn't matter how big your social media following is, or I don't like the matchup with him, so I'm not taking that one. Like, I just read it online who I'm fighting. So yeah, Sheymon. The reason I like to fight with Sheymon is because he's been in the UFC and proved himself at the top level, whereas a lot of people haven't done that. I haven't been able to fight top level fighters in the UFC. So for him to go there, yeah, he took a couple of losses, but he's also got some wins over some top 15 guys. So, like with Sheymon, I think it legitimizes me as a fighter when I beat Sheymon. I think everyone's like, oh, wow, well, we all know he's a great fighter. I mean, I just need the guys that are going to come at me and try and fight and really going to put it on me. And Sheymon's shown in previous fights that when he's been hurt, he keeps coming forward and he's not going to back down. And there's $1 million on the line. This is his kind of last roll of the dice in the PFL. So I think that makes for an exciting fight with someone like myself.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, you're a great fighter. You have a great record. But probably one of the reasons why you made it like the biggest headlines, at least stateside here, like a while back, was the whole thing with Dana White Contender Series, and that bout. Have you sort of grown past that? Because it felt like that was such a big deal, and maybe a lot of people were. I mean, I'm asking you about it now, right? I guess how do you look at that time now?
Well, that's always going to be the most. That's why everyone knows me. Everyone knows me as Takedown Brendan, 10-second Brendan, as they call me. So, I'm past that stuff now. I mean, what's the point of me sitting on dwelling and all that? It's just negative for me. So, you know, it is what it is. I knew what I was signing up for when I went on that show, you know. So, you know, I'm a prize fighter and I took the fight and it didn't go, well, it did go my way, but it didn't ultimately. But I feel like there was a long-term goal for me and it was a bigger plan. And that's right now, to be in PFL and to secure mine and my family's future. I mean, how long would it take to make $1 million in the UFC? It would take a while. So for me, it was like, right, in 6 months you can do that. So I was like, right, okay. And I know that I'm an elite fighter. There's no doubt about it. Bill Algio's an elite fighter. And for me to win every second of that fight then just shows that he's gone on to win in the UFC. He's actually fighting this Friday. And I actually just went and trained at Bill Algio's gym. So shout out to Bill. I landed in Philadelphia and he put me up for the night and we trained.
Nice. And to your point, some people join the UFC, fight multiple times, and they never get a chance to even get close to $1 million. This is something very rare that the PFL is making, right? No politics, no trash talk. Like if you're a good fighter and you know luck is on your side, you advance and you get the chance to make that big payday that is not seen so often in mixed martial arts. Are you almost glad that I guess the way things rolled out in Contender Series rolled out, and now you're in this stage where you're able to make you know, life-changing money?
Yeah, well, not only that, it's even the purse is a good purse by purse all the way leading up. So at least I know the 4 dates that I'm going to fight. At least I know, you know, I'm going to have 4 great opponents. I know that I'm going to be on ESPN. I know that I'll be able to get sponsorship. There's some massive positives to fighting for PFL, and I really get on with everyone backstage here. So for me, I found a home here. You know, I feel at home, even though it's 17 days. I feel like, all right, I'm here, and I'm really enjoying my time here.
Nice. And let's talk about the actual season. I know you said a few minutes ago that, look, one of the things you love about PFL is you get a call and you're fighting this guy and sort of there's no ducking, right? But you know, this is a pretty good crop in this featherweight season coming up. Is there any guy, and not to be disrespectful or anything like that, but is there any fighter that you wish you crossed paths along the line?
That's a good question, actually. I mean, every one of the featherweights is in this hotel right now, so we're all just crossing each other, looking each other up and down, and like, you know, it's like, because don't forget, you usually here 5 days before a fight, you're in and you're out, but we're sat here for 3 weeks, like looking at this opponent is so bizarre, mate, because we're still in training camp, he's still in training camp, he's doing his training, I'm doing mine, and we're walking past each other every day, and I'm just not used to it after this long. But one thing I am really happy about, which is going to sound weird, is that there's no crowd. I fought in the Contender Series, I fought in the Ultimate Fighter. I'm used to no crowds. I enjoy no crowds. I'm a thinking fighter. I try and use my IQ. I feel like sometimes you get caught in a moment with crowds and you get emotional. So the fact that it's just me, my 2 coaches, my opponent, his coaches, and a couple of other people, I relish that fact.
Is it something you just enjoy, or could you even say you perform better, or you're a better fighter with no crowd?
I feel like I'm better with no crowd. I feel like I can, because with me, when I've got my training camp and I'll take my coach and we'll go to another gym and it'll just be me and him and it'll be the fighter and his coach. And that's how I kind of learn my craft. And like, I can relax now and think, oh, it's just another day at the office. I'm just going to spar a really good guy. And it just makes me relax, where sometimes you got 20,000 people screaming. It impairs your vision and it impairs your game plan. It impairs everything. And sometimes them fighters get better with crowds. I'm not one of them fighters. I like to pick my shots and really think about what I'm doing. So I just think for me, it benefits me personally.
Nice. And if I'm not mistaken, you're the only English fighter in this featherweight season, and I believe in the entire seasons, like
Correct.
Combined. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, I knew. Yeah. Well, there was going to be another guy, but Alex Lahore, but I don't know what happened to him. I think whatever happened, but yeah, I'm the only English guy.
Yeah, I was looking at the roster. I'm like, okay, yeah, he's the only person from UK here. Does that change anything? Do you feel like you're almost, you have a lot of pressure representing the UK because, you're the only one repping the flag out there?
I feel like there's a lot of pressure on me altogether. I mean, I've been brought into this promotion now with a lot of hype after what happened on the Contender Series, and I've got coming off 5 straight wins, and Brendan's got a good chance in this tournament and this and that. So there's a lot of pressure on me. So I relish on pressure, though. I thrive on pressure. I've trained my ass off, and I'm going to leave every single last thing I've got in that cage on next Friday. And you're getting the best Brendan Loughnane. There's no excuses.
For sure. And you're from Manchester. Are you a Man U or Man City fan?
I get this all the time, but I must be the only person that doesn't care about soccer, football, soccer, whatever you. If I call it soccer, all my English people go, "Oh yeah, you've been in America too long, so I'm going to call it football, like it should be called."
Yes. Do not ever refer to it as soccer on Twitter, or you'll get wrecked. It is a big no around here.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. All right, Brendan. It was a pleasure talking to you, man. Best of luck in this upcoming featherweight season. It's going to be really exciting. Looking forward to your fight, as well as the entire season, to see how it unfolds. So best of luck against Sheymon Moraes, and I'm sure we'll talk to you after the fight.
Thank you very much.